whenever you want.
Okay.
And this is going to be a group endeavor because I'm sure there's going to be questions about the process. And I actually had to look over some answers myself. So is everyone here? Are all the folks in that are going to be in?
There's nobody left in the waiting room, but as if anybody else comes in, I'll just admit them.
Let's do this. Let's start in 2 minutes, and we'll let people wander in. And before we go ahead and start, let's introduce all of ourselves. I'll start off. I'm Richard DiMartino. I'm a faculty member in the Saunders College of Business. And for the last 12 years, I've been loaned to RIT, the larger university, helping them start entrepreneurship programs and leading the Simone Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. You want to go next, Megan? Do you mind?
Sure can. I'm Megan Plate, Program Manager at the Ames Center for Entrepreneurship at the University of Rochester. Kathy Driscoll, who's also here, she and I are leading up our NYBPC efforts at U of R, working with our wonderful colleagues from across the Finger Lakes area. So I already name dropped her, so I'm gonna have Kathy introduce herself as well.
I'm Kathy Driscoll. I do community relations for the Ames Center for Entrepreneurship and work with Megan and all these other wonderful people to organize events like this. Looking forward to meeting you all.
Rupa and Dana?
Yep. Hi, everyone. My name is Rupa Thind. I'm the Associate Director of the Simone Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship at RIT and part of the planning committee for this competition.
I'm Dana Wilcott. I'm also part of the Simone Center. I'm the lead innovation coach, and we have about 16 wonderful coaches that help us with all of our programs. And I'm excited to see we have another business plan competition. Awesome.
So folks, we're going to go ahead and get started. I would like, if you're comfortable with this, if you're not, I understand. I'd love for you to turn on your camera so that we could see you. That might be a good opportunity. And if you could take 30 seconds, maybe even 10 seconds, because there's more and more people on this. Just tell us what college you're from, and just tell us what college you're from and your name. That'd be fantastic. Beck, you want to start?
Hi, yeah, sure. So my name is Ibek. I'm a 5th year right now in the College of Engineering Technology.
Oh, wonderful. So an RIT student.
Yes.
And what about you, Alexander?
Hi, my name is Alex. I'm a business student at Fordham in the Gabelli School.
Oh, wonderful. And
I'm a sophomore, by the way.
Sophomore. And is it a Mashera? Did I pronounce your name right? And I apologize if I didn't.
That's okay. It's a Majre.
A Majre.
Yes, my name is Majre McDonald, and I'm a freshman at RIT, majoring in communication.
Okay, wonderful. Daryl, what about yourself?
Daryl Chesley, currently at in the executive MBA program at Simon. Graduating here in about another couple months.
Matt? And congratulations, Daryl.
Hi, I'm a sophomore. My name is Matt Newsom. I'm from Connecticut, and I go to Hobart William Smith Colleges.
Great. Ashant? Or Sashant? I'm sorry. I don't know. I know I butchered your name. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. Hello. Good evening. I'm Sashant. I'm a second-year PhD student from University of Rochester, Department of Optics.
Madison?
Hi, I'm Madison. I'm a sophomore marketing major at St. John Fisher.
Julianne?
Hi, everyone. I'm Julianne. I'm a first-year MBA candidate at Simon studying marketing and global business.
It's Junyali?
Hey, yes, that's correct. So hi, I'm Janyali, and I'm from the University of Rochester. I am a fourth year PhD student.
And Darren?
Hi there. I am Darren Small. I'm a second year MBA student at the University of Rochester.
And Beck? I think Beck is
You already went.
here. Oh, he already did. Oh, that's right. That is right. Okay, I'm sorry. So let's no, that's okay. That was my fault. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be talking about a little bit. We're going to be discussing the business plan contest that the region has. And this is all an opportunity to foster entrepreneurship and new venture creations within the state of New York. And they've broken down these contest regions to certain areas. And we go ahead and identify 3 winners in a category. And then we send them to Albany where they compete with the larger group of individuals to find out, with real investors, to look at the most compelling, company ideas that put in. Now, there's a couple of general points I want to bring in before we go in and discuss this. The first is that there are early stage ideas and there are later stage ideas. Oftentimes, later stage ideas are the most compelling to the investors. I don't want people to get discouraged with that because some early stage ideas have won and have been very compelling. And if there's one lesson that I've learned after observing this for about, I don't know, Megan, how long have we done this? Have we done this for like 8 years?
I believe this is actually the 9th.
This is the 9th year, is that there is a path of winning. And that means a lot of people that compete one year and don't win the next year. So I don't want to discourage anyone, because if you go back and you project who won, you'll see that they've basically done pitches at 5 other contests. And over a course of a year and a half, they've become very proficient in doing that. So one rule is, or one kind of lesson is, people that are more advanced tend to be more successful, and people that pitch more tend to be more successful. But this is the beginning of a path of you taking your idea and moving it forward. So does anyone here in this group, in their business plan, actually have, and you can just raise your hand, actually have revenue for their business yet? That's fine. Is anyone here with technology intensive? I know we have 2 PhD students. Is anybody working on technology intensive? Okay, and these are all different strengths that you have, which are going to be reflected in your business plan. Just the eligibility and the rules are pretty straightforward. As far as what you put in the data, it's giving your information about who you are, the kind of company structure you have, but the real core of this is coming from a 2-page executive summary that you provide. And your ability to be competitive is really going to be structured around how compelling those 2 pages are. And it's not going to be one thing, but it's going to be a grouping of things about how important your idea is. What's the problem you're addressing? How are you addressing the problem in a unique way? And do you have the ability to carry that out through your team? And those are going to be the critical components. Can everyone see the little PowerPoint I have up? The bigger question that we look at here is, you can only compete in one region. You can't put this in various regions. Even if you have a team member that's in a different region, you got to pick one and go there. All the members of your team need to be students. All right, which is important. The other issue that we look at is, you have to go into a track. You're going to designate the track that you're in, but the judges reserve the right to bump you out of the track you're in and put you into another track. But they're not doing that to bust on you. They're doing that for logical reasons. Sometimes they read it and they say, and there's a lot of crossover. You could come out and say, I've got a software product that's in my med tech. And you might be in software and they might look at it and say, no, this is the most compelling thing that I've seen, but it really belongs in medicine and it's much more likely to be competitive there. They're not going to move you for your disadvantage. They're going to move you for your advantage. So don't get cheesed off. There's only goodwill here. If they move you, it's because they think you'd be more competitive in a different group. And software tends to be smothered with dozens and dozens of applications in the state. So if you're hitting a narrow segment, they may move you if you're more compelling. For all of you, take a real quick look at these 6 categories, whether it's agricultural tech or food, infrastructure, which can be cybersecurity or many other types of infrastructure, first responder, that's for accidents, for 9/11 type things, natural disasters, defense, and then medical and life sciences, education and wellness, consumer and business products, and software and services. Now, we can stay here a little bit later with you if you don't want to talk in front of the group. For all of you that have ideas, is there a clear landing place for you in these categories? Does anyone, because if not, we won't talk about what you have, but we'll stay on a little bit later and we can help you brainstorm about where it might be best for you to fit. And if no one says anything, then I'll assume the answer is yes, this is wonderful. We all know exactly what we're doing.
I would like to say, so I am not really sure where we would fit because it's more of a telecommunication company. And so I'm not sure if it'll be infrastructure or services or no, some consumer services or consumer products.
So it's either 2 or 5 for us. So
yeah,
it's 2 or 5. Do you mind me asking to give a 15-second description of what your product is?
Yes, sure. So our product will be used in a data center, which would help in improving the connectivity between an optical fiber and the chips which are used in the data centers.
Yeah, I mean, that to me, generally, number 2 has fewer applicants than consumer and business products. So my gut sense is that might be the best path for you. I mean, you can pick whichever. Do any of the other coaches and business plan individuals here have any other thought? I mean, Megan?
Yeah, so one of the great things about the app, well, great and also mildly confusing things about the application this year is that there are multiple things that you can pick from. So as Richard said, you are going to be sorted into those categories, but you can select a bunch of different industry verticals in the application. So the folks that are sorting you into the categories will understand kind of where you're coming from by looking at those. And then Giuliani, you in particular, we know what your business is. And if anybody else has concerns about where they've been sorted, you can feel free to reach out either to your own university or to us. All of our contact information is right on the website that Richard shared earlier. But if there are any concerns, please feel free to reach out to us and we can, make the case for one way or another. But we trust the statewide folks to put you in the right place at the beginning.
Yeah, it's for your benefit. And if anyone wants to ping me or someone else because you just want to talk about it, we're more than happy to do that. So let me wait a second. Prize information. This is very straightforward. There's a lot of information that we don't have right now. The grand prize is $10,000. There will be cash prizes for each track in first, second, and third. This is on the statewide level. The first phase is for us to get you there. And then there are special prizes for unique niche events, which are a venture backable startup, which will probably be competitive with a grand prize, social entrepreneurship, looking for inclusion, female founders, veteran founders, and also people that are exploring ways to respond to the COVID crisis. So each of those will have Each of those will have an award for it. And again, this is more for bragging rights than anything else, but these are great opportunities. So let me just go back and talk about what this real opportunity, what this real workshop is. This real workshop has to do with how to actually put out your executive summary and to come off and win. Ultimately, you're all in different places. Some of you have ideas that you haven't started yet. Some of you have very advanced technologies. There's really three components that you need to look at. One is, and I've given you a whole bunch of listing here. One is, how compelling is your business concept? And compelling can be brought into, it is addressing this incredible problem. How could anyone argue that if you're working on a new form of battery for electric cars and for making sustainable sustainable energy more sustainable, who could argue that that's not compelling? Another compelling aspect would be that you're addressing your problem in a way that hasn't been done before and is a novel approach and could be very, very successful. So compelling can fit in many ways. It could be the opportunity, it could be your approach and value proposition, and it could also be your team. Your team could be compelling because it's filled with a wonderful mix of researchers that could actually make the technology, and a wonderful mix of executives or business folks that can go out and find opportunities. So next is sustainable. And by sustainable, I don't mean green energy. I don't mean anything about clean anything. I mean, you can sustain what you're doing. You have a compelling reason why, if you come out with this, product, you can make money from it. But in addition to make money, people can't easily steal what you're doing. When I say steal, copy what you're doing. Steal is a bad word. So I'll give a real quick example of this that I like to give in class. Have any of you ever been out to, gone into someone's basement and it's dark and you walk down into the basement and you're scared because you hear something singing and you turn on the light and it's a singing fish on the wall? Has anybody ever heard of that novelty product before? This is probably culturally relevant. This is culturally associated with the US. Well, there's a novelty item called Billy the Big Mouth Bass, which is probably the tackiest. Madison's smiling. She probably has one. All right. Which is probably the tackiest gift you can possibly give to someone. But it came out as a joke. And the joke is, you've mounted a fish on the wall, and when you walk by it, there's a motion sensor, and the motion sensor goes off and the fish looks at you and starts singing. Okay. That's a product that was very popular for about a year and a half. And when people saw it, they thought it was neat and they bought it, and they realized how tacky it was. Then they bought it for their friends because it's tacky and they wanted to make their friends laugh. But ultimately what happens is it goes down. Your product goes up, but it's a one-hit wonder, and there's not the compelling nature to build a business. It might be a compelling product in a portfolio of products, but you couldn't build a business around it. And this is something that you have to look at. There's a lot of products that are made that you cannot build a business around them. But if you had a pre-existing business that had market shelf somewhere, that it could add to the value. So when you're looking at sustainable, the question is will it derive enough value, and can you protect it? In the US, there's a lot of debate about whether it's healthy for Google, Apple, Facebook, and a variety of other very large technology companies to exist. And one of the arguments for this is that if any one of the bright people that I'm talking to right now created a business that, and at RIT, there's probably a half dozen that fit here. You come up with a unique software business, you begin to advance it, and then one of these big companies sees that it could fit under their space, it could fit into an operating system. All they have to do is go to the dozens or hundreds of sophisticated coders and computer scientists that work for them, and you're out of business because they have all the distribution channels. So if you came up with a wonderful product and it touched on Google, and Google saw it as something that was valuable, they would take it away from you in a moment because they have the market power to do that. I'll give you a real quick example that my colleague Daniel Walcott. Do any of you have any smart technology in your home where you can turn on the lights and turn off the lights? Well, historically, those systems haven't talked to each other. You have 3 or 4 brands, and you'd have to use different applications on your smartphone to turn on different things. So you'd have to buy everything from company A or company B. We had a company, a student company with a very good with software engineers that actually created a universal application that you could put every brand on it, and it used their interface to do that. And they were making good progress. They had already had a sale, and then Apple announced that they were adding that functionality into their operating system. They were dead. That was very sad. They weren't dead, by the way. They were just, their business was not going to be successful, and they weren't going to get any more sales. Now, why am I saying this? This is not a sustainable business model. How do you protect yourself? So one is this a sustainable way of generating revenue? And 2 is, can your IP be protected or your business model be protected? Now, the other aspect, I already said it has to be compelling, it has to be sustainable, and it has to have the potential for revenues, significant revenues. This has to do with understanding your market size and your total addressable market. How big is your market? And if you're doing something new, link that with the problem that you're solving. So there's a problem. There's a market that people that have that problem are going. How am I addressing that problem, and how big can it be? And what's the likelihood of the uniqueness, a combination of the benefits I provide and the cost? How likely is that to actually get market share in that large business? Now, I've just thrown out those 3 areas. And I know that some of you are first years and some of you are PhD students. And there's a big pathway in there, but some people that are first year students have already taken business plan classes. So I'm going to stop for a second and say, do you have any questions? No questions at all? Okay. So
I have a
let's,
question.
yes, sir.
Yeah, sorry. So do we have to mention at all anything about our traction or any current feedback from early customers?
We have 2 pages for an executive summary. I think it would be very encouraging for you to use a small amount of space to demonstrate your level of maturity, to say that this is promising, and we've talked to 23 customers that have demonstrated that this problem is significant and that the solution we have is superior to what they're currently doing, would be something that would add compelling nature. It would also demonstrate what stage you're in. So I think that you would be at a disadvantage to where you really are not to actually describe that, because you've gone beyond secondary data to primary data. Now, the other aspect, if I might talk to the 2 PhD students that are here, do you have patents?
Yes. Yes, the patent has been approved. So
Is it a patent pending or is it a real patent?
it's pending. It's going to be approved this month. So we got the unofficial approval. It'll be official soon.
Okay, congratulations. That is a critical element in understanding and figuring out sustainability. Daryl, what about yourself? You said that yours was technology intensive. Do you have patents associated with it?
It is actually a marriage of technology and agriculture. And to be quite honest with you, it's a space that nobody wants to be in. So it's really
well.
So
okay,
no patents at this point.
Okay, the vast majority of intellectual property is protected through trade secrets and not patents anyway. So that's not but that's something that you should probably indicate on how you're going to keep that sustainability. Look at these tips to remember. These are just general aspects of what's the structure of your company. For most venture capitalists and people exploring businesses, they generally look at the team first. Now, this is a student contest, but generally investors would rather have an A team and a B idea than an A idea and a B team. So make sure when you talk about your company, what its structure is and who's composed in it. If you have a balanced team that is capable of making the company go from point A to point C, you're going to get good marks for that. If you don't, if you demonstrate, for example, that we're all technologists or we're all marketers and we don't have the skills to get to the next step, that will not benefit what you're saying. Okay, that will not benefit your application. Who are your competitors? If you're doing something new, you still have competitors. It's indirect competition. It's not direct competition. Focus on that. That we already said, is the venture sustainable? Understanding your markets. In the 2 pages, everybody has a customer, but sometimes the customer is not reachable, excuse me. What does that mean? In a business sense, if you're selling a 747, well, Boeing is going to sell the 747 to the airlines, and then they're going to service it. There's no middle people involved, all right? If you're buying a loaf of bread, the loaf of bread, if it's a small bread manufacturer, it's going to go to a wholesaler and then a distributor, and then it's going to go to a local store. You got 3 people involved there. How are you going to get to your customers? If this is a technology and it's direct sales, which many of them are, okay, you're going to be able to understand the distribution channel and the sales network to get there. If you're doing something else and it's too small for you to have a direct seller, you need to be able to find a distributor that you can go through. The real question here is how much time and effort in the executive summary do you spend in it? This is really a sentence or 2, but it demonstrates you have a knowledge of the market. Once you start doing it, you'll figure out not only who your customers are and how to get to them, but who the right people and what positions they have in the business, all right? If you know that right now, that's a nice sentence, not a nice paragraph. You don't have time for that, but anything that you can do to demonstrate the in-depth knowledge of you have very tightly of your environment is going to demonstrate, again, it's going to be a positive. So having said that, there's really no other parts, I think, to go over. I think one of the tips to consider is also very helpful, which is, are there structural barriers to that? If there are structural barriers, you need to outline that. If you're working with a government, that's perilous. Not the Defense Department, but if you're what we call a government entrepreneur and you want the government to take action so that you can sell to people or it's mandated, that's going to be harder to do because then you're going to have government act before you sell. I would be reluctant to use that as your primary strategy unless the law has already been passed. So I'm going to open up the floor to anyone that wants to talk. Does anyone have questions, thoughts, concerns?
Yeah, so Madre here. Yeah, so this is all pretty new to me. I got a email from, I think it was campus groups, and so I was like, oh, let me come and see what's going on. I mean, I have on my heart to one day have a business plan of some sort. That's on my heart, but yeah, I'm just here just learning to see if this is something that I want to look into. So just a little bit of background about me.
Sure. And you said you're in COLA at RIT?
Yes.
Yeah. Why don't you do this? Why don't you ping myself or Rupa, and if you want to put it in an application, we can actually help you begin to structure it. And if you just want to talk about it and you're not ready to do that, we could put you in a non-credit class or a workshop that can actually help you. if you're interested in doing value creation. So we're happy to do that. That's what we're here for. Anyone else that we can be of service with or to?
So how many rounds are there? Or are there rounds of competition, or is it just like everybody applies and they get distributed and then everybody just pitches?
Well, what typically happens is the people that apply go to the regional contest. They are selected to who will present and who will not present. Those who present go to the judges in the regionals, and then the top 3 in each category move forward. Megan, the top 2. Okay, I was incorrect. Megan, do you want to add, since you're the expert on this and I am not, would you like to add anything?
Ooh, expert is a strong word. So yeah, like Richard said, there's a semifinal round and then the statewide round. So semifinals are just in our area. I mean, they're all across the state, but you'll only be competing against folks from the Finger Lakes region. So basically Buffalo to about Syracuse. And then once that competition happens, each track will pick 2 finalists to go to the statewide competition. And then you'll submit a video and be competing against teams from all across the state.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I said this at the beginning, but I truly mean this, and this warrants saying it again. If you have an early stage idea, the best way to get good at presenting this is to present it. It's like anything else. And we've actually gone back and seen how do people win. And first we thought people won because some were graduate students and some were undergrad. But then if you go back and you say, how long have you been presenting this? The people that win are the people that know this really well and have presented it multiple times. So even if you're not 100% confident that you're there, I think the best way to get better and to make this, to make an impact is to start now and apply. And the people in all of your schools, I think you all know your own entrepreneurial faculty, but if you don't, we can link you with them. And I know that they would be happy to talk with you and even see your presentation or see your executive summary. And if they aren't, I'll do it for you. But you'll owe me a cup of coffee if I do it for you. Daryl's unconvinced. He just
sounds like a fair trade to me.
So how can we help you, folks? How can we help you?
I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
I think in your second slide, you said that the students need to be presenting at all time during the presentation. I guess my question is, do all of the students, all of the team members need to be students at a university?
I am going to defer that question to Megan, because what we typically tell our students, if they've got one person that graduated, we say drop them from the group, because this is only for students. So we don't like that, but it's the only way we can kind of, once you get into that, you can have all sorts of weird things happen. You can have a technologist and that has 4 people that work for him or her, and then they can apply and it just doesn't work. So what I would suggest to you is, if you have one member and they're not students, just take them off. And what you do with the money, if you win, is what you do with the money. There's no strings attached.
Yeah, Darren, if you have any follow-up questions, just let me know. But like Richard said, it's a better bet to take them off to compete. Of course, they're still part of your team in the grand scheme of things. But for this particular competition, they should all be students.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Any more?
Question, just to clarify on like the competitive part. So we submit our executive summary and then a slide deck, and then that is judged. And after that, we get notified if we're like sending a video in or doing our presentations and sending it in. Is that correct?
So I can take this one. So actually in our region, the only thing you need to submit along with the application is the 2-page executive summary. That changes for all of the regions. So definitely just give a check over as you're applying to make sure that you're complying with each region. In terms for the Finger Lakes, like I said, for the application, we only require the application and the 2-page summary. We'll follow up to those folks that make it to the semifinal round to get a PowerPoint or slide deck a little bit closer to the competition. And then the only time you need to worry about videos is if you get to the statewide finals.
Okay, so it goes executive summary, then add a PowerPoint, and then all the way at the end is when you'd actually make a pitch. Gotcha, thank you.
Yep.
So we said if somebody graduates, drop them off the team. When is the finals, and is graduating in May going to create a problem?
Nope, you should be totally fine. Actually, even students that graduated in December are eligible to compete until the end of this competition season.
How about part-time students and students who are fully remote? Or is there like a clear distinction or a clear line for that?
As far as I know, that's no, but I can definitely check on that for you.
Are they matriculating? There might be a challenge if a person is just taking a class at a university, but if they're matriculating, they're in a program, even if they're part-time, we've traditionally let them be in the contest. And I don't think that it has anything to do with if they're remote or not. If, you know, the only thing that it has to do with is, are you applying to another region in New York?
So do they have to be from the Finger Lakes University?
Yes.
Everybody in the team, okay.
Anything else, folks? Well, let me ask you one question, and then you can all, you know, we'll stick around a few minutes if you want to just talk to one of us in one of the side rooms. But is there anything we can do to help you? Is there something that I haven't gone over that you think we should have, or just some question about the contest that's kind of in the back of your head and maybe you're not comfortable asking it? You should ask it because, you know, this is the time.
Are you going to send the slide deck out to the folks that are on the?
Absolutely. If you're interested in it, hold on a second.
Yeah, particularly, I think it was slide 3 or 4.
I've got the slide right now. What's the best way to send this to everyone in this group?
Yeah, I have everybody's emails because they had to register. So we can send it out after this.
Any questions, folks? Just ping us. We're happy to help. You all have representatives from your schools and they're happy to help. And if you can't get in touch with them, ping us and we're happy to spend some time with you on the phone and just go over it or read it if you want us to. And if you're from RIT, the Simone Center is your contact. And we obviously are here explicitly for you. So just come on in and see us, okay?
One question, what have been some of the past winnings?
You mean in terms of money or the ideas?
The ideas, sorry.
Oh, wow. I knew you were somebody's gonna ask me. There's been so many years of this. I can't, nothing comes to my head. What I can tell you is that the people that win are very compelling with the problem they have and the progress they've made at solving this problem and moving forward. And one of the tricks of the trade, I think, and you never know what people are saying if they've really done it before, because this is a pitch contest, is that people that have created networks and partnerships. So let's say for a second, you're an online, and this wouldn't work now in COVID, but let's say you're an online software, and that online software is to help travel abroad. And you can demonstrate that you've already made 10 strategic partners and contacts with linking these schools in different areas together, and you've already given feedback gotten feedback from them that it works and that if you complete it, they will buy it. That is something very compelling. That is one of the ideas that actually moved from this region to, we had another interesting person at RIT who is a chemist. And her observation was that that when you go through airports, they take your shampoo, particularly for women that have long hair. And Madison's smiling. She probably knows what I'm saying. So, and this is a market mostly for women. So she designed as a chemist a dry shampoo that's premium, that does wonderful things for your hair, that all you have to do is add water to. And so whenever she goes through the airport and she doesn't check her bag, she doesn't have the problem of them taking her shampoo. And so she actually won the state competition. Didn't Kaylee win the state contest, Rupa?
She won her division.
For a new product.
For the new product? So
you won for the new product, not the overall.
Okay, so she won for the new product, but she had developed the technology. It was patent pending. She didn't have a patent yet. It was patent pending, and she already had incredible networks. And you know what really caused her to win was the fact that she immediately described a problem that nobody had ever addressed. And she served it in a novel way. It's like the problem was, and she has really long blonde hair. She said, I travel a lot for business. I can't bring my shampoo. It matters to me. It matters to me that I have nice hair and that I use nice shampoo, and immediately people on the judging panel got that. And they said, wow, we never thought about that before. It was a great idea. I mean, and there was enough people on the team, and not people like me who will use bar soap on their hair if they have to, but people that actually care about their hair. But no, so she actually just went up through the ranks, and she won a variety of contests just because of the compelling nature and the solution that she had.
There's also a list of past winners from our region on the website. So there's not a deep description of things, but you can always Google them. A lot of them have either continued or have archived websites too.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Well, folks, I think that's it. If there's no more questions, as I said, you can stick on this Zoom call if you want to talk to us in private, and we'll go into a Zoom room if you want to set it up, or we'll set it up if you want to do that. The only other thing I want to leave you with is you got a lot of resources in Rochester and the Finger Lakes region to really help people build businesses. Sometimes people don't know that, and one of the things getting involved in this business plan contest is you'll get a list of folks if you're interested in folks that in services you can get to take your idea and advance it forward. I'm sure the folks at U of R that are in the PhD program actually are aware of those, but whether it's Next Corp or the RIT Incubator or some of the accelerators and photonics that we have, there's a lot of cool resources. There's lots of coaching networks. There's prototyping assistance. There's tons of it. So you folks have a great day, and I hope to talk to you reasonably soon. And goodbye.